what is a psychedelic experience? What is up, alienARMy? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And on this channel, we discuss everything out of this world. What are we talking about today, homies? We are talking about what the fuck is a psychedelic experience. We're all adults here. If you want to know what a psychedelic experience is, you can search that for yourself. But if you're looking at a video like this, I'm assuming you already are familiar in that arena. So a psychedelic experience can be induced in many different ways. I believe there is actually a breath technique out there that you breathe a certain way and then you transcend to a higher level of consciousness. This is what some might consider to be like Kundalini awakening or things like that, because they say once your Kundalini rises, once that dormant energy that resides within us all is released, that our minds expand and they never shrink back to the proportions that they once were. A big one, which is, this was in the OA too, and I have a video on that if you want to take a gander. An NDE, a near-death experience, is like whoosh, that is like an ultimate psychedelic experience. So an NDE is when someone is I'm sure you've seen stories, I've read things about that, where people are, you know, they're 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on earth, right? Like they're one foot in the ethers and 1 foot in the physical realm, right? They typically talk about the same thing. It's described as like, you know, they're going through a tunnel or they see a white light or what have you, right? So, and then they come back into their body. But after a near-death experience, a lot of those motherfuckers are not the same again, because that is dimethyltryptamine, aka DMT. It's naturally occurring in the brain. So a human brain can naturally produce a psychedelic experience if it fucking wants to. Like, it's natural in the brain. You can look that up. So DMT is released big time into, I guess, the bloodstream. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but basically DMT just pretty much jizzes and your whole fucking realm is like, woo, psychedelic. So that's what happens during a near-death experience, is that dimethyltryptamine, which is found in the pineal gland, is released, and that is how the psychedelic experience is induced. So, fun fact, when someone is dreaming at night, like they're sleeping and they're dreaming, that's the effects of dimethyltryptamine as well. Not as potent as when one is in an NDE, but it's a hallucinogenic substance. A psychedelic experience is very uplifting, literally, because when someone is induced into a psychedelic experience, what happens is, long story short, different neural pathways in the brain that wouldn't typically connect and talk to each other connect, and they start talking to each other. So a psychedelic experience is really your brain on drugs. You know, it's like if you've ever seen those stereotypical commercials that would say, this is your brain and this is your brain on drugs. So look that up. Vintage commercials, I'm just saying. Interesting stuff right there. Anyway, so your brain in a psychedelic experience is, let's say you have this section of your brain and it doesn't typically communicate with this other section of your brain, right? It's just, that's how someone's state might naturally be. Once one experiences a psychedelic homecoming, let's say, because you're coming home, you're realizing you're more than just your fucking body, you're a lot more to it. You know, there's a lot more to it than just being a fucking body. So we'll call it the homecoming. You have the psychedelic experience and now you are seeing above and beyond things that you didn't see before. So what happens when you learn a new language, or you learn how to play the piano or something like that? Now you really, it's sort of like driving a car, or as they say, riding a bicycle.
I mean, I don't know how to ride a bicycle, and I'm fucking proud of it.
I don't want to ride no motherfucking bike. So it's something that happens in your brain, like if you're learning a new language or something like that. And this is comparable to how your consciousness is after a psychedelic experience. So we have these two areas of the brain that are not typically in communication with each other. A psychedelic experience allows them, it bridges the gap betwixt them, and now these two arenas of the brain, these neural pathways, they're chilling, you know, they became friends, they're cool with each other now, okay? Instead of like being standoffish and ignoring each other, now they are united. And much like with the example I said, driving a car or playing a piano, this is going for the mind as well, because now this is going for the power of the brain as well, even if it's something that is just noticeable in your thoughts and in your subconscious, because now these two that have not linked up before, now they don't forget how to link up again in the present moment or in the future. So now this pathway has been made. It's like there was a whole bunch of bushes and weeds and fucking thorn thickets and whatever the fuck that were separating these two aspects of the brain, but now the psychedelic experience dissolves that thorny thicket, and now these two have this open path to communicate further, communicate again in the future, learn to communicate better. So a psychedelic experience is when you are inside your mind, like, I don't want to say literally because you're not literally in it, but it's like your oversoul, the higher self, is looking into the mind and it is seeing everything at once, okay? Maybe not everything, but things that are of importance in that moment, is looking at, oh, this connects to that. I never saw that before, but it's like your okay, I hear something. I don't know what the fuck I hear, but I'ma just keep it rolling. A psychedelic experience is like those two principles of the mind, and what's going on is that now once they are introduced to each other, you can see from your oversoul, from your higher self, from that higher perspective, you see that everything actually is all connected. So I'm pretty sure that I saw this online where someone somewhere, I don't know who, I don't know if it's a quote, I don't know what, but I read online that a psychedelic experience is like you are in your house, let's say, and you know how you have like a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom, whatever. You're in one room, you're not in the other room, so you aren't able to see what's in the other room. I mean, you might know what's in there, but you're only in one physical room. So that is someone's mind when they are not in a heightened psychedelic state. When someone is in a heightened psychedelic state, they are going to be able to see into the kitchen of their mind at the same time as they're able to see inside the bathroom of their mind, inside their living room, inside the fucking parlor, inside the bedroom, inside the garage. It's like you're standing over and you're observing all of them together, because now they're linked up. So it makes sense that you're like, oh, I'm observing what's in this house, so I can see things that I wouldn't necessarily have seen before. Where one would take time, if they're in the kitchen and they want to go in their bedroom and get a pillow, they gotta walk there, right? A psychedelic experience is like, well, okay, the pillow and the kitchen are already at one with each other. And that's not my definition, but it's really the best way that I can describe it when I saw that written online somewhere. A psychedelic experience, you're able to look and pick and choose choose, oh, I want to go in the kitchen and get me some peanut butter. Okay, but I also want me a pillow from the bedroom, so I'm going to bring both of them simultaneously. There's no type of bridge, there's no type of journey that has to happen between the kitchen and the bedroom. It just is all at once, so you can pick up the pillow and pick up the motherfucking peanut butter at the same time. So once someone has a psychedelic experience, with that analogy, once you learn how to drive a car, you don't forget. So it's the same thing now inside the brain, since those neural pathways connecting the kitchen to the bedroom, they're familiar with each other. They like shook hands, they're like, yo, homie, what's up? Now they can interact together in a way that they could not before, because it's brand new information. It's expansion of the consciousness of the seeker, and the mind in that way is not going to shrink back. It cannot constrict, because the universe is always expanding. So one is not going to forget the psychedelic experience because the mind has already expanded. And this is sort of like if you think about stretching something, it's not going to snap back together. It's not like a rubber band where whoosh, it's going to snap back together. Not in a perspective of talking about consciousness. It's always going to remain open. It's going to expand, because the mind is the microcosm of the universe, which is the macrocosm. So the universe in itself is not going to constrict. It's not going to go back to its previous dimensions. It does nothing but expand. So it's not going to shrink back into the old ways, and neither is the mind after a psychedelic experience. It's like, okay, we got this out of the way, and that's why someone can say that a psychedelic experience is like profound, because you're not going to view things from the same lens as you did prior to the psychedelic experience. So that is what I got for you today. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful stroll through the psychedelic lair. I am Oculus, the alien next door, and we will chit chat again soon.